posso dar boa tarde a todos. Um segundo, não é? Estamos aqui transmitindo ao vivo dentro do seminário INCT entre Novos e Velhos Saberes. É um prazer receber a todos vocês que trabalharam arduamente para que a gente trabalhe para vocês, não é? Mas, lamentavelmente, é o que acontece. Sou um amador que gosta de ajudar as pessoas e muitas vezes não funciona como a gente gostaria. Essa atividade que nós fazemos aqui é uma atividade continuada de extensão dos programas de pós-graduação da UFBA. Microbiologia, biodiversidade e evolução, ecologia, teoria, aplicação e valores, e o mestrado profissional em ecologia aplicada à gestão ambiental. De novo, é um prazer. Stewart, eu vou lhe pedir para que você fique aqui nesse intervalo. Stewart, I'll ask you to be in this interval, so the camera will catch you.
Understand.
Okay. Yours, Stewart, please. Eu vou sair.
Yeah. Okay. Can you do the slides? Carry on. Okay. All righty, everyone. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I think we'll just sort out the mic. No, Jason. There you go. Beautiful. Well, welcome everyone to our concluding presentation here in Salvador. Firstly, just wanted to say a massive thank you to the wonderful team at the university, and thank you for allowing us to be here, and to all of our partners for all of your kind help during the week. This project is only possible by working together through collaboration with many partners here, and thank you so much. It feels like yesterday, Chuck and I came here in beginning of May, and met the wonderful team here at the university, and met our friends all across Salvador, and set this week up. So thank you so much for having us during the last week, and all of the incredible work that everyone has done with our wonderful Darwin 200 team. Okay, so for those of you that don't know what Darwin 200 is, I'm going to give a very quick overview of what we're about and what we're doing here, and why we're in your beautiful city and your beautiful part of Brazil. So thanks, next slide. So we're taking a beautiful ship that's 105 years old around the world, following the journey of Charles Darwin. Our journey isn't exactly the same as Darwin's journey. It's a little bit different, but we go to every major port that Darwin went to. Every major port. There is one significant difference. Darwin did actually go across the Indian Ocean. We're coming back via Cape Horn. It would have added 9 months of waiting for the wind, so unfortunately the Indian Ocean wasn't possible. But we go to every major port that Darwin went to. Okay, next slide. We're really honored to be working with 3 incredible people. And if you can join us live to Rio de Janeiro on November the 11th, all of them are speaking. The amazing Dr. Jane Goodall, the also amazing Sylvia Earle, and Sarah Darwin, Charles Darwin's great-granddaughter. And we're honored that she's actually coming with us to Rio in a week's time. So if you come to Rio and meet us there, you'll see her. Okay, so this is the ship. It's called Ustaskalde. It's traveling around the world. So this is our 4th port since leaving England about 9 weeks ago, just nearly 10 weeks ago. We went from Plymouth, where Darwin stepped aboard the Beagle, his ship. We first went to Tenerife in Canary Islands, and Cabo Verde, where our 2 friends here are from, and then Fernando de Noronha, and then here in beautiful Salvador. So port number 4. Okay. So very quickly, what we're doing, we're training some of the world's top young conservationists, of which we have some fine specimens here today. And the idea is that we bring them to ports, partner them with local conservation partners, so they get experience in the field, they actually see real conservation work, get new knowledge, new skills, new understanding, and hopefully take back some wonderful experiences and knowledge for the rest of their careers for the next 50 years. As you will see today, they have a very intense workload. This definitely isn't a holiday, as I'm sure these guys will agree. It's intense. They have to make 3 films with their wonderful camera operators. So 1 Darwin leader, 1 camera operator together as a team with a local conservation partner focusing on an animal or plant. They have to do 3 things. Look at how that animal or plant has changed, how the population of it, its conservation status has changed in the last few centuries. So what's happened to it, basically. Then the present, what is being done now to conserve it. Then the future, what more could be done, what new strategies, what new ideas, and so forth. So they make 3 films, 3 written reports, and 3 photo essays. Actually, skip these ones. Separately from that, just so you know, every single week we beam out the world's most exciting classroom. New experiments, new activities, new competitions, every single week. So if any of you want to join it, it's free every single Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. local time here in Salvador. We're doing some of them in Portuguese and some of them with Portuguese subtitles as well. So they're really friendly and international events. And they have competitions and prizes. And last but not least, we've got some really exciting research projects, one of which is going to be presented today. So that's our project. That's what we're doing. Very, very quickly, I think, next slide. You can skip on. I skipped on too. So some of our Darwin leaders from our previous reports, of which we have a fine example here. Nina very kindly came to to Cabo Verde with us and did an amazing project there. Okay, go through fast. So each port, the Darwin leaders arrive, meet their project partners, and do their different projects, their research studies, and so forth. Skip on, that's just the classroom. And in each community, in each port, we try and do as many activities, particularly with children, as we can, to help inspire new conservationists and new environmentalists. And tomorrow, we're really honored to be working with local schools. We're taking 2 groups out on our ship of local school children. And then the next day, I think we've got 10 groups coming onto the ship when it's at port. So it's going to be a busy few days. We've had a lot of groups coming on in the last week or so as well. Here's just a few photos of the ship at Fernando. That was the ship leaving England. I was approaching Fernando de Noronha. And some of the projects that we've been doing, I think this was Cabo Verde. And I think this was with the wonderful Nina again, looking at turtle conservation on Cabo Verde. We've actually had some very significant projects, one of which on Cabo Verde was looking at a species of gecko that was thought to be extinct. It had been sighted, but no one had done a population survey. So one of our Darwin leaders went to look and survey this population with our local friends, Biosfera and Telemar, and they refound a population of it. So this is a really significant find. They found just a few examples at the very last minute. So it's a pretty amazing project. Other Darwin leader projects underwater, for example, next one, studying octopus, and this was actually in Fernando de Noronha with a wonderful expert called Tatiana Leach, and they observed new behavior in those octopuses as well. So it's a very intense week, and what you're going to hear today, is 1 film from each Darwin leader. Remember, they make 3, but it's a very intense week. They can only make 1 while we're on the ship this week. They finish the other 2 when they go home. So we'll just have 1 as an example from each of the 3 teams here today, and a very kind overview by Melin as well about the research project that we've been doing here. Okay, next slide. Oh, sorry, this is just one of the experiments that I'm running with kids at the moment. Thank you so much for making this project possible. Without your involvement here in Salvador, none of this would happen. So thank you very, very much for making this possible. And we really hope this project will help not just the Darwin leaders, but all of the people that we've been working with here in Salvador and in the next ports to come. So everything that we make is online. Everything we make is free. All of the project partners can copy all of the footage. All of the films are for the project partners. So every single thing we do, we put online and we share. Anyone can use it. In fact, the more the better. So please watch all the films. We've already got about 40 Darwin films online, and every single day we launch a new one. Cheers. So thank you so much. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our first wonderful Darwin leader.
Boa tarde. A gente pode colocar a apresentação sem ser na live. Pode ser?
Pode, coloca a apresentação que eu coloco na live aqui.
Mas é isso, para ela vir para a internet vai demorar ainda para carregar.
Quanto tempo?
Eu creio que seja rápido, eu estou na metade, mas ainda tem o vídeo e tal. A gente poderia abrir aqui.
Sim, abre ela então.
Yeah.
Aqui não apareceu ainda, né?
Esse aqui está na tela. Isso. Isso. Ok. Boa tarde, gente. Sou Stefan Antuna, de Cabo Verde. Trabalho na ONG da Conservação Ambiental chamada Biosfera. Vou apresentar o que eu aprendi um pouco aqui sobre o golfinho da Guiana, que é uma espécie endêmica que só vive nessa área do Brasil, a Baía do Salvador.
Se você quiser passar, você pode.
Ok. Antes de começarmos a recolher todos os dados na viagem, estive com o professor Marcos, que me explicou sobre a distribuição do bicho em relação ao mundo. Explicou-me que a distribuição do bicho no mundo fica na Baía do Salvador, começa a Baía do Salvador e vai pela faceta da América até a América Central. Essa parte aqui, onde vocês estão vendo os pontos, ou a parte mais vermelha, são a maior ponto de concentração desses bichos e mas nós saímos em direção ao Paraguaçu para estudar mais aquela área. No Paraguaçu conseguimos encontrar uma boa quantidade de golfinhos que foi maior do que esperávamos. Começamos a tirar os dados, então nós tiramos o ponto de GPS do local onde foi visto, marcamos a hora, contamos os indivíduos, tiramos fotos e ao terminar tudo isso, marcamos o ponto de GPS onde tivemos a última vez com eles e depois a hora também. Recolhemos dados sobre o som dos golfinhos, que são dados acústicos, que é com um aparelho com um gravador, que tem um fio que se coloca na água e captando o som dos golfinhos. A importância dessas recolhas. Com o drone, as imagens que podemos recolher, dá para obter melhor o campo de visão dos animais, que é de cima para baixo, dá para saber qual é o movimento dos bichos em relação a que eles descem e sobem, e dá para contar melhor os bichos, porque você consegue ver melhor qual é o tamanho do grupo do bicho. Em relação às fotos com máquina, dá para ter aqui na barbatana dorsal, dá para identificar os bichos por indivíduo, para saber se esse bicho já foi visto antes, se é a primeira vez que está sendo visto. Esse aqui é um exemplo de barbatanas dorsais que foram fotografadas e emitidos no computador para ter essa imagem, para identificar se algum dia forem encontrados, para saber mais ou menos qual é a idade da vida do bicho. Mas também tem esses pequenos detalhes aqui, que às vezes os golfinhos ficam com cicatrizes que duram por muito ano, que eles apanham quando ficam malhados na rede, que dura muito ano, e esse golfinho aqui, pela informação que eu tive com o professor Marcos e o Vitor, esse golfinho aqui já tem mais de 20 anos que está sendo acompanhado, porque começou a ser acompanhado por outros grupos e agora está sendo acompanhado pelo professor Marcos. E a importância do recolha dos dados do som. Temos dois tipos de som, que é a equalização, é um som que eles fazem para se localizar em relação ao ambiente, para descobrir onde tem a caça, qual é o melhor lugar para pescar. E o assobio é outro tipo de som que eles utilizam para se comunicar entre eles, que é para saber, para dizer, tipo, ali tem um grupo de peixe, ali tem outro grupo, se comunicando de golfinho para golfinho. E esse aqui é um som de assobio e equalização junto. Dá para colocar para ouvir, coloca aí a equalização aqui. Não sei se aqui vai aparecer, não está aparecendo. Tinha aqui colocado um som, mas aqui não está aparecendo. Podíamos ouvir, mas só que não está aparecendo. Aqui.
Posso tentar por aqui?
Yeah. Ok. Esse aqui é o som que eles utilizam para se localizarem entre a natureza, para saber sobre a caça. E temos um som de baixo, que é um assobio que eles utilizam para comunicar entre eles. Deu para ouvir alguma coisa? Coloca aí. Aquele ali é o som de assobio e equalização junto, ao mesmo tempo. Professor Marcos e Vitor, qualquer coisa que quiserem cortar para dizer, podem dizer. Estou de boa. Yeah. Vou passar a planta.
isso aí?
Ok.
Por último, fomos para uma zona aí que tem pescadores, que encontramos dois irmãos que são pescadores que estavam recolhendo uma rede. Eles nos informaram que utilizam o golfinho como um parceiro de pesca, porque quando o golfinho está caçando o cardume de peixe, eles colocam a rede em direção que a caça o peixe corre. Tipo, utilizam o golfinho para encurralar os peixes na rede para fazerem a pesca. E na comunidade, eles nos deram uma informação que é bastante importante, que é em relação ao habitat, quais são os pontos maiores que os golfinhos sempre estão, mas eles nos disseram que praticamente em todo o rio do Paraguaçu tem esse golfinho, que sobem até em cima de uma zona que se chama Cidade de Cachoeira. E também eles nos disseram uma coisa que é muito importante, que os golfinhos sempre andam contra a corrente. Se a corrente está subindo, eles estão descendo. É sempre ao contrário. Esse é o que eu aprendi. Se vocês quiserem, professor Marcos, se quiserem perguntar mais alguma coisa, alguma pergunta. Eu queria aproveitar um momento para agradecer a todos os pessoas que estiveram comigo, que é o professor Marcos, o cameraman Jorge, o biólogo Vitor, o Darwin líder também Luca, o cameraman Jordan e o capitão Marcos, que me ajudou a recolher todos os dados. E também queria aproveitar para agradecer Darwin 200 por dar essa oportunidade de viver uma experiência única. Obrigado.
Tem um vídeo semana.
Falar sobre o vídeo?
Agora o vídeo.
Vai falar sobre o primeiro episódio do 3?
O vídeo ainda tá carregando, porque ele tá muito pesado. Mas a gente pode rodar só pra quem tá na sala, a gente não vai conseguir colocar na live.
Eu vou colocar um vídeo que é o primeiro episódio da toda a história que aconteceu aqui. Vai ter mais 2, mas o primeiro já está pronto. Vamos passar para vocês verem um pouco da experiência que eu tive todos esses dias.
Use the sound as well.
Is it through the...
Yeah.
What's your name?
Sou Stefan Antuna, tenho 25 anos, sou cabo-verdiano da ilha de São Vicente. Trabalho no Meio Ambiente da conservação ambiental chamada biosfera. Agora estou aqui em Salvador, da Bahia.
Acho que a gente vai conectar nessa, ver se o Bluetooth tá ligado ali. Essa caixa tá muito melhor do que essa outra. Aí, Bluetooth.
Quem vai ser a próxima pessoa a apresentar? Quem? Luca. Você sabe qual é a apresentação dele?
Sei, tá no nome do... Tá no nome do cameraman, que é o Jordan.
Então eu vou chegar aqui, vou já fazer o... Deixa eu carregar no
Jordan filme.
Mas é só o vídeo ou é...
Tem a palestra também. Palestra...
Mangroves? Ou John Rosário? John.
Não, John é o da tartaruga. Change the World. Is your presentation called Change the World?
Mine's, this one?
No,
Mangroves?
that's Merlin. Ela. Jordan, clica nesse Jordan. Só tem.
É só um vídeo.
Where's yours?
Mine?
Yeah.
Jordan film, probably.
Jordan film.
Jordan film
That's
is
only a
the
video.
movie.
Oh, my presentation.
Oh,
It
yeah.
should be on there. Wait, go back. It says it's called Luca
Darwin presentation. I added it earlier. Maybe I think you added it to documents. Check by documents. Luca Darwin presentation.
Talvez aqui embaixo.
I added it earlier, so it should be.
Já é.
Yeah, that's
Luca,
the Darwin leaders
Vila.
presentation. Yeah.
Luca aqui, ó. Agora, era tudo pra gente ligar esse Bluetooth, essa caixa aqui.
Eu acho que dá pra ouvir do jeito que tá.
É?
Você acha?
Falou aí alguma coisa, né? Falou o quê? Conectado ou não?
Eu não sei mexer nesse sistema operacional.
É Mac? Não. Você usa Mac?
Hã?
Você usa Mac? Esse é outro?
Não, eu uso o Windows normal.
Ah,
Esse aqui acho que é Linux. Bora rodar o vídeo assim mesmo?
Tá bom.
Eu acho que não tem problema.
Sou Stefan Antuna, tenho 25 anos, sou cabo-verdiano da ilha de São Vicente. Trabalho numa ONG de conservação ambiental chamada Biosfera. Agora estou aqui em Salvador, Bahia, com o projeto Darwin dos Dentes para aprender sobre os cetáceos em específico do golfinho da Guiana. Vou aprender sobre a ecologia desse golfinho que é endêmico dessa área e qual a importância dele em relação à sua natureza. O que pode acontecer se ele entrar em extinção, já que é uma espécie que já está em perigo. Assim posso levar esse conhecimento para Cabo Verde, para que não aconteça o mesmo ali com os nossos espécies de cetáceos. Porque cada ser tem o seu valor na natureza, principalmente quando é endêmico, porque se é endêmico de um lugar, quer dizer que ele também é muito importante para o ecossistema desse lugar. Quero aprender uma coisa agora que pode ajudar no futuro a conhecer e conservar não só os cetáceos, mas também outras espécies do meu país e por onde eu passar, vou tentar deixar que eu vou aprender aqui. Estou com o professor Marcos, que trabalha para a Universidade da Federal do Campo da Bahia. Ele é um profissional que vai me passar todos os conhecimentos em relação ao golfinho da Guiana e a sua importância em relação à sua natureza. Meu nome é Marcos Santos, eu sou biólogo, sou professor, coordenador do Laboratório de Ecologia Acústica e Comportamento Animal da Universidade Federal do Recôncavo da Bahia. E eu venho estudando os cetáceos, golfinhos e baleias há mais de 20 anos, particularmente a baleia do bate e o boto cinza e o golfinho da Guiana na costa da Bahia. Estamos aqui para estudar uma espécie muito especial, o golfinho da Guiana, o boto cinza, seu nome em português. O boto cinza é uma espécie que apresenta uma distribuição costeira, desde o sul do Brasil até a América Central, em Honduras. Isso faz com que essa espécie também esteja sujeita aos maiores impactos da população humana, que se concentra na região costeira também. Então, esses animais eles estão sujeitos a ações como o tráfico de embarcação, a degradação de hábitat, a poluição nos seus mais diversos níveis, poluição química, poluição física pelo próprio plástico e a própria poluição acústica. Há cerca de 30 anos, essa espécie é a espécie mais comum na costa brasileira, que vem sendo estudada por diversos grupos de pesquisa. Então, isso permitiu que, nos últimos 30 anos, muitos dados fossem coletados e que esse esforço coletivo de pesquisa conseguisse trazer de uma forma mais precisa o status
métodos usados para conhecer o fio que é uma espécie única.
Well done, Stefan. A big thank you to Professor Marcus for making this project possible, and the captain as well, of course. So thank you so much. We can't wait to see episodes 2 to find out about the current conservation, and episodes 3 about the future. So really well done. So I think next up is Luca.
Right. So,
What's that? Oh, should I stand here? Yeah. Okay.
works?
The file is too big to be opened. Maybe we can do a little.
Yeah, good enough.
Professor, essa apresentação não vai conseguir ir para live porque o arquivo é muito grande. Mas aqui a gente pode apresentar aqui mesmo. Pode ser?
É o que se tem online. Okay.
Do you prefer pass by yourself or you need
Yeah,
to-
I'll do it by myself.
Okay. So,
All right. So, hello, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Luca Vincent. I'm from Austria, and as a Darwin leader, the last week I got to study the iguana dolphin and how their relationship to the underwater world of sound. So, so we embarked on a 3-day sail trip. We sailed over the Bay of Todos os Santos, and we had 2 stops. So we anchored first in Maragogipe, which is a small town in the river of Paraguaçu. And the next night we stopped in Barra do Paraguaçu. And we partnered up, as you've already heard, we partnered up with Marcus Rossi, an expert in bioacoustics. And he runs his lab, the LEAC, which is bioacoustics for cetaceans. And what makes bioacoustics and acoustic ecology so special is that it opens up like a whole new field of study that we couldn't study before we had the technology and ability to record the sounds. And especially in these waters in Todos os Santos, the waters are very murky. And most of the time, the dolphins are underwater, which makes it really hard for us to observe the dolphins visually, right? Because we can only observe them once they surface, which is maybe 10% of the time, which they surface. The rest of the time, they're underwater. But with the ability to record sound, we can record the sounds that the dolphins produce while underwater, so we can then find out more about their behavior. And we do this with a device called a hydrophone, which you can see here on the bottom. And we record the sounds when we see dolphins in the area, and then visualize the audio in a spectrogram, which is a thing above. On the x-axis, you have the time. On the y-axis, the bottom graph shows the frequency in kilohertz, and the top one shows the amplitude. So this is a way to kind of visualize the audios that the dolphins produce. And they, for the most part, they produce 2 types of sounds. So they have, sorry for the font, I don't know, it's all messed up, but so they produce clicks, which they use for echolocation. So they kind of make and then they're able to actually receive the echo that these clicks produce by bouncing off different objects through their jaw, and that way they're able to become aware of where objects are in their environment. So other boats, other dolphins, or their fish that they're hunting. This is a good example of echolocation. And the other ones are whistles, and the whistles are more for communicating with each other within the pod, also for hunting, since they're very social. Right. And another part of the research, so we research is the dolphin behavior, but also the effects of noise pollution in the bay and the effects on the Kiwana dolphin. So here in the Todos dos Santos Bay, there are two main types of noise pollution, which are motors from boats, different kinds of boats like ferry boats, cargo ships, and most importantly, speedboats and jet skis, which are very loud. And then on the other hand, we have blast fishing, which is not quite as common as the boats, obviously. For those who don't know what blast fishing is, it's a very destructive type of fishing where the fishermen just throw a bomb off the side of the boat, kind of as you can see in the photo, boom, big boom, and everything floats to the surface, and then you just collect all the fish scraps that float to the surface. And yeah, these have an effect on the Kiwana dolphin. Oh, there, you just heard the recording of the blast fishing. I'll play it one more time. And Marcus in his lab was actually able to record, be the first person to record a blast fishing event. And this, to this day, stays the only recorded blast fishing event in Brazil. And something I found really interesting is, so you can see actually the whistle of one of the dolphins before the blast. So the first circle right here, that's one of the dolphin whistles. So I don't think you can hear it with this speaker, but it's like a, and then you have the blast from the blast fishing, and afterwards there's silence. So this is kind of a case study of how a blast could impact the dolphin's communication, right? Because they're communicating, big boom, and afterwards it goes silent. Yeah, and now I'd like to just show you all a few slides and a few photos of our journey of recording dolphins. So as I mentioned, we sailed across the bay to find the dolphins, collect some footage, and also get some audio recordings as well. And most of the dolphins, there's a hotspot in the bay, which is the blue circle. This is where most of the dolphins are. And this is also where we found most of our dolphins. And then we traveled a bit further up, saw some here as well. And up here, we didn't see any dolphins at all. I'll get to that later. Yeah, so the reason we opted to take a sailboat is because, as you've probably heard by now, the motor noises affect the dolphin and usually make the dolphin a bit shyer. So we filming the dolphins wanted to get as close as possible to them, and we did this by opting for a boat where we have the option not to use a motor, to stay quiet, and the dolphins might be a bit more curious. And yeah, this is the first pod of dolphins we saw in the bay. And yeah, as I mentioned, the first night we slept we anchored at Maro Gojipe. And the next morning we actually went into the village to hear what the locals have to say about blast fishing. This is a photo of the river. Right. This is us getting the equipment onto the port. And yeah, then as I mentioned, we interviewed some of the locals, and they actually has quite a few interesting things to say. For the first part, he mentioned that about 20 years ago, dolphins were swimming in the river all the time. You saw them every day, but nowadays they're virtually not seen in that area. And then he also touched on how vast the problem of blast fishing really is. Up until now, it was kind of the impression it's once in a blue moon sort of thing, but people here were saying it happens on a daily basis. So it really kind of shows how that's a problem in the community, and we also touched on, and we're able to agree on that, it's really required that we find transdisciplinary solutions to these problems, involving the community, as well as other sectors as well. Right, and then after leaving the Baraguaçu River, we came back to the dolphin hotspot and continued to look for dolphins. And when we did find dolphins, for the most part, we try and film them as long as possible until they dove down. But a few times we did notice that, either I think once it was a jet ski and a motorboat, we were filming the dolphins and a motorboat zoomed by, and afterwards the dolphins dove down and we didn't see them again. So again, kind of a case study of how the fast motorboat, loud boats are affecting the behavior. Before the boat came, they were very active, surfacing the whole time, and afterwards they just dove down. We didn't see them anymore. Another photo of the dolphin. Afterwards, feel free to ask any questions. Thank you very much, and thank you to everybody on this list, especially George. Yeah, my video. It's the Jordan film, right? Yeah, I think it's the Jordan. I'm guessing it's the Jordan film. Yeah.
When Darwin first arrived in the port of Salvador de Bahia, located on the northeast coast of Brazil, it was one of his favorite ports, since it was his first time walking through the tropical rainforest, experiencing the vastness of diverse sounds produced by nature. But now, almost 200 years later, we have transformed this soundscape of the rainforest that Darwin first encountered into a new concrete jungle of noises. My name is Luca Vincent, and as a marine biologist, I couldn't help but wonder, what might the natural world of sound in the ocean look like? And how might this soundscape have changed? In order to answer this question, I decided to learn some things from the locals, who happen to live right here in the waters of the Todos dos Santos Bay, the Guarana dolphins, also known as Sotalia guanensis. Due to the murkiness of the waters they live in, this marine mammal relies on the world of sound for hunting, communicating, and navigating the waters. During our stay in Salvador, we partnered up with Marcus Rossi, an expert in bioacoustics, or biological sounds, who has been studying the Guarana dolphins for more than 20 years. Together, we embark on a 3-day sail trip in the hope of finding the Guarana dolphins in order to learn more about how they use sound.
My name is Marcos Rossi Santos. I'm a biologist and I'm investigating dolphin ecology and behavior for more than 20 years. So what makes those dolphins very unique, they are endemic for the southwestern Atlantic Ocean. So they really rely on sounds as their main sense to explore the environment. And so mostly dolphin uses sounds like echolocation sounds, pulsate sounds to find their prey.
So as we can see, sounds truly are everything to the Guarana dolphins. It is their number one sense they rely on.
So, like many years ago, we started to work trying to understand more about dolphin sounds, because we can study dolphins only when they come to surface, and then there's a very quick moment. And underwater acoustics help us to understand more what the animals are doing on the water.
So we just spent the past hour sailing from the city of Salvador across the Todos dos Santos Bay to reach the beautiful nature here in the Paraguaçu River, a hotspot for the Guarana dolphin. And it didn't take long till we spotted our first pod. While observing the dolphins, we were able to record their whistles and clicks using a hydrophone or underwater microphone. Inside the boat, Marcus then showed me how he was able to visualize the acoustics which the dolphins produce. In the next episode, we will learn more on how the dolphins' noisy neighbors, such as motorboats and blast fishermen, are impacting the environment through noise pollution, and how this affects the behavior of our near-threatened species of dolphin.
Próximo answer. Qual é o seu nome?
Just like
So, Stefan.
because this has been like an amazing time. I'm so pleased to meet very motivated young people.
Let's see if
guys.
it works out.
So
Yep.
happy to work and try to
If it is
build a
work,
new
you do
national marine conservation in the future. So it's such a pleasure to be here today and to be part of this amazing exercise. Eu agradeço a participação no projeto. Tem sido tempos incríveis poder trabalhar com jovens que vêm de diversos lugares buscando o conhecimento e motivados. Então, fico muito feliz. Só tenho a agradecer aqui a UFBA também por esse momento. Então, obrigado a todos. Muito bom momento. Bom dia.
Você prefere passar ou? Sim. Fique sempre aí onde você está, que é onde pegar.
Hello, my name is João Rosario. I'm from Cape Verde. I'm a Darwin leader. I work with turtle in the NGO from Terrimar. I work at 10 years with a turtle. But I go to this ship for conservation of the sea turtles along the coast of Brazil. But the activities I open with the morning patrol when I transfer the nest in the beach from Arembeb. And the night patrol, we go in car or on the quadricycle, and we catch a loggerhead turtles that eat measure 1 meter from 18 in the carapace. The other activity, we have a capoeira demonstration in the school of Tamar, and surf lesson with the professor Vinicius in Arambé. And we have interviews with the local people. This is George, a local people, and in the past he eat the thirds. But when Tamar project come back, it is open. She or he is no with them. We have more interviews with the specialists with Nina or and Itamar and from NECA in the project Tamar. And with this work, I find one problem. The problem is the disorderly occupation from the condominiums around the coast. That this ends up causing the invasion of the nest by the armadillos and the folks. But we can change the world, invest in the children education, or we can change the world with the consciousness toward the conservation from the baby turtles. At the moment, we go past from the video to watch my work in the project Tamar.
What? The other speaker?
Vamos tentar ligar o Bluetooth.
I think it isn't working.
Clica no projetor, gente. Pode ver que o cara só seja melhor do que a.
Agora ligou aí, ó.
A caixa do projetor é melhor do que essa.
Tem uma caixa de Bluetooth, se precisar. Pode testar a minha se quiser também.
Não, mas eu não sei se tá funcionando.
Bluetooth, se precisar só.
Usa o DLC. DLC, aquele do.
Mas assim, quando eu expande, ele. Também não. O problema é o áudio. O áudio tá saindo aqui.
Tá saindo aí.
Não, não tá não.
Tá não?
Não tá aqui, tá também.
Se desconecta do normal, se conecta no Bluetooth.
Can you help me?
It's on?
It's here, Bluetooth.
Yeah, it's better if we disconnect.
Para tirar isso aqui. Entendeu? Agora já carregou.
Sim, sim. ¿Dónde está el Bluetooth here? Default. Ligado, ligado.
K4.
No, agora conectar de vuelta. Bluetooth ligado. Definição de Bluetooth.
Mobile device not found. Ready to pair.
Tem cabo?
Se não tiver bateria, você bota aqui, ó. Você vai descarregar, quando descarregar, você começa também. Quando descarregar, aqui você coloca aí bateria. Aqui. Se algum PC mesmo, não sei.
Está apagado.
É isso que eu tô ligado assim também. Foi?
Ok? Foi?
Espera, para.
Num canto do mundo, nesse preciso momento, uma tartaruga está a caminho do seu novo lar. Este é um cenário de esperança para o planeta e um alívio para os oceanos. As tartarugas marinhas são um exemplo de perfeito de luta e adaptação para o mundo em que vivemos juntos. Mas hoje encontramos uma nova realidade. Ao longo da história, as tartarugas marinhas foram uma das espécies que mais sofreram danos.
A gente tinha o costume de comer tudo que pegava na rede. Antigamente ele botava a rede, pegava os peixes, quando caiu uma tartaruga, não era pelo contrário, já estava morto, então não jogava fora. Porque, infelizmente, o ser humano está degradando o planeta Terra.
E isto ficou escrito na história do Brasil. E tal como nos conta Jorge, no meu país, em alguns lugares, é uma prática que continua a matar as tartarugas marinhas. Viajei do Cabo Verde para o Brasil por mais de 30 horas para entender mais sobre uma outra realidade. Conectando-se com especialistas em conservação e entender mais sobre a história das tartarugas marinhas no mundo. Ao chegar, conheci o Projeto Tamar, que é a maior organização de conservação das tartarugas marinhas em todo o Brasil.
Eu sou Neca, sou oceanógrafa, sou diretora de conservação e pesquisa da Fundação Projeto Tamar.
O propósito inicial era um levantamento das espécies marinhas que estavam no litoral do Brasil. E isso foi uma das primeiras turmas de oceanografia no Brasil. Então, foi a primeira movimentação da oceanografia brasileira em territórios nacionais, foi essa.
As tartarugas marinhas sofreram muito com a caça excessiva, onde estavam quase a desaparecer completamente. Hoje as tartarugas marinhas enfrentam um dos maiores problemas no mundo, nomeadamente a pesca ilegal, a predação dos ninhos, a ocupação desordenada das praias, entre outros. Nos próximos capítulos falaremos em profundidade sobre os problemas enfrentados pelas tartarugas marinhas e o mundo.
And thanks for Nico from the edition for the video. Thanks Nina and Itamar, and thanks for Darwin Vincent for the opportunity.
So, audience, remember that project's only finished 48 hours ago in the field. So they've only had one day. So the camera operators have worked very, very hard to make those films. They will, as mentioned, make 2 more in each project. And as soon as they're ready, we'll send them around, both the films and the links, so you can use them anywhere and see the rest of the films. I think our last presentation today is by Monica concerning the project that she did. So we have a special research project. Along the voyage, we're doing lots of different special research projects. And here, well, without further ado.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm Merlijn Hilsum from the Netherlands. I used to be a Darwin leader in Cabo Verde, so that's 2 steps ago. And by now I'm on board as a researcher. I'm carrying out bird surveys during the voyage legs. But I was here in Salvador to carry out a project about oil contamination in the mangroves. So met a lot of different people, people from the local communities that are really like living from the mangroves. I've met down below you see the fieldwork staff from the University of Federal University of Bahia right here, and on the top the wonderful lab staff from the Department of Geosciences, who've taken me on this journey to learn more about the mangroves and especially the oil contamination that's happening here right now. So, first about all the photos that you see here are all trucks, except for the one on the next slide. Thanks a lot for photographing right now. So, mangroves. Why are mangroves this special? Now, they're actually an ecosystem that form the link between the marine and the terrestrial world. So, actually, these trees, they are adapted to the brackish zone, with these very characteristic air roots, and therefore they form a shelter for both marine species, such as juvenile fish, as for terrestrial species, such as birds. So it's really like the buffer zone, and it also creates a buffer zone for us as human beings, because these mangroves, they protect us against storms, and therefore are valuable, very valuable for us living in the cities. And like on the picture on the left, we can also see a crab living in the sediment of the mangroves. This will be of later importance. So, in 2019, something very particular happened, because all along the Brazilian coast, all of a sudden, oil started washing up, and people actually really had no clue where it was coming from. And as you can see, it was impacting the environment like, massively. And people and scientists from the University of Bahia used a special technique called fingerprinting. I will talk about how it works later, to understand the origin of the oil spill. And they found out that actually the source of this oil, of this contamination, is from Venezuela. And they actually also figured out from which exact ship this oil was coming from. well, we knew the source, but still you can see like it had a huge impact directly, but also over the long term on the ecosystems and on the mangrove. And the researchers from the University of Bahia have been working on trying to figure out what the long-term effects are, but also what we can do to clean up this oil spill. Because it's not only the oil that's on the surface, but after a while the earth, a lot of sediment comes above the oil, and it actually stays in the sediment and in the environment, because crabs and other mollusks, like shellfish, they stir up the oil, and this brings it back into the ecosystem again. So I actually joined the researchers on the field trip and later on the lab work to understand how exactly the work that they're carrying out, how it's going. So you can see us carrying out some fieldwork equipment and me writing down a lot of things, some soil samples to understand whether there could be oil in the soil samples, but also to understand a bit more about the general, how the soil was behaving generally. And we took some environmental samples of water to understand, for example, the pH of the water, but also to see whether there would be any oil in those environmental samples. So they're both checking if there would be oil in there and also checking what the general state of the mangroves were like. Then later on, we went to the lab. You should dress for the occasion, that's very important. It's also that we needed to be very precautious about potential contamination, because this work is very specific and it's very, very likely that you can contaminate your oil sample. For example, when we're taking the samples in the field, I was not allowed to wear any sunscreen because the fat from the sunscreen for the face contaminated the oil sample we were taking. And on the right, you see one of the samples I took. It's actually something that was found at the beach. So just people can find oil spills on the beach, and then they just bring it to the lab in order to be further analyzed. So this crude oil is made up of hundreds of different chemical components. And these chemical components, like the composition of the components, is actually unique for every place on Earth. And this has to do with like the actually with the plants and how the oil was being formed like 300 billion years ago. So what they're first doing is separating the different parts of the oil, because some of these parts are very handy for fingerprinting, but other parts are only just adding noise to the source. So they should really determine which parts are the most interesting for this fingerprinting and are most unique for the region. So that's what they're doing on the left. And then if you go to the top right, you see a gas chromatography machine. I won't go into any detail about it because it's very, very difficult to explain, but at least it works to further separate these different oil parts. So you can directly see all the different components from which the oil is being made up. And then on the top bottom right, you see the so-called fingerprint. So they're actually comparing all the different peaks of the oil field sample to the different peaks of oil samples from all over the world, and therefore they can understand the exact origin of a certain oil sample. So this is the part about the fingerprinting, but they're actually doing something else that's really cool. It's called bioremediation, and this is a process that is based on the natural ability of the ecosystem to clean up the oil itself. So there's certain microorganisms, bacteria being involved with mangroves that are able to clean up the oil by just using it and producing some components that are less toxic to the environment. And what the researchers of the University of Bahia have been doing is they have been trying to understand the exact mechanisms behind this bioremediation in order to further enhance the use of bioremediation in the field. So, for example, they've tried to associate as many microorganisms as possible to these mangroves and to later replant the mangrove trees so that they can really make this process go faster and faster to clean up the oil. So, one of the things that I found out during these past days was that it's actually not only about this 2019 oil spill. For example, this lab already existed for 20 years. And this is because there was a refinery in the Bay of Bahia who had been like dumping oil all the time. Moreover, we've been told that a lot of oil tankers, they come to the refinery and they later on clean up their oil tanks, and they just dump the waste oil into the bay. And we've been told that actually on the long-term trend, this oil contamination is maybe forms a threat that's just as big as the oil from this 2019 oil spill. So it's not only about the spill, it's an ongoing problem. And what is relevant about this is that as there's many mangroves all over the world, and all of these mangroves, many of them, luckily, haven't encountered such a big oil spill of 300 kilometers of Brazilian coast being threatened. But still, they're like close to traffic lanes, so they're still under threat of oil contamination by, for example, these tankers. And this means that actually what the University of Bahia is doing right here, it not only accounts for the bay, but actually accounts for all mangrove forests all over the world in order to understand this bioremediation and see if we can also use it in different places. Thank you very much for your attention. It's a quick presentation, and hopefully there will be a video later we've been filming. But this is just my outcomes of my study. Thank you.
Well, say we thank all of our partners for making this possible. None of the Darwin Tunnel project would be possible without collaboration with our local friends. So thank you to everyone for making this happen. We have a few little certificates for our wonderful Darwin leaders. So, well, Luca, why don't we start with you? You jump up first. Well done. Okay, I need to take a photo. Oh, would you like to? Okay. Yeah. Just go around. You give them out. So I'll shake your hands. How much done? Well done. Congratulations. Okay, now we've got the next one is João. Well done, John. It's amazing. Incredible job. Next one is Stefan. And behind the scenes, the cameramen work incredibly hard as well. So we definitely can't forget them as well. So, Josh, first up. Many congratulations, Josh. Josh is fantastic. We have the wonderful Jordan as well. Beautiful. And last but certainly not least, the wonderful Nicholas. Well done. Thank you so much. So even though this is the end of our week in Salvador, it's really the only beginning, because we've got so much more content that we're going to be producing over the next weeks, and we hope that our Darwin leaders can come back and volunteer with some of the projects as well, and help in different ways in the future. So an enormous thank you to everyone in the beautiful city of Salvador, and to all of our friends here for making this project possible. And well done, Darwin leaders and camera operators for working so hard during the last week. So many congratulations. And lastly, there's a very special person who I have to thank, the wonderful Chuck, because without him, none of this would happen. Chuck very kindly spent a few weeks with me out here in Brazil and basically helped set everything up. So without Chuck, none of this would have happened. So thank you very much for making this happen. Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. And please mingle and ask our Darwin leaders any questions. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions now, actually? Would anyone like to ask them? No? I think we have a group photo first. If that's okay. Yep, let's do that. Should we do that side? Outside? Yeah, do that side. Okay, let's start with that first. Cool, perfect. Thank you so much. Number 2.
Eu também, faz aqui, porque não sei. Pegar uma aí pra mim, filho. Olha que amor. Peraí, calma.
Então, estamos encerrando aqui porque não fecha.